Now, what about hands? There's a lot we can talk about with hands. The hand posing wasn't done very well here, seeing the back of the hand like that, but I don't know the maker personally, so I'm not going to criticize that. Maybe posing hands like that worked for Mona Lisa, but it didn't work for this girl. This was a little better from a different pose that I cloned onto the previous image. Putting hands at the same height is kind of an amateurish pose and it looks kind of boring. So I'll have her raise one hand, and usually the back hand. Now, generally speaking, we don't want to see the backs of hands for girls, but for guys it doesn't matter because we're looking for a stronger look. And of course, there are exceptions to every rule, including this one, I guess. Anyway, so we've got the back of her hand showing, but it's far enough away that it's not really a problem. Just one back of the hand, and that's okay, especially since she's wearing like a leather jacket. Then we're not going for a delicate look. Part of the reason we don't want the back of the hand showing for portraits of girls is that it's visually as large as the face, especially when it's a little closer to the camera. But by turning the wrist sideways, it looks more slender and smaller, thereby directing more attention to the face. Here's a progression from hands that I don't like because you're seeing the back of a hand to hands that are better but not too overly posed looking. Sometimes during a session I'll just have them do different things with their hands, and when I see something I like I'll just have them stop. What I liked about this was just the fingertips touching or intermeshing, but also the sides of the hands showing, the edge of the hands, not the back and not the front. Again, going for the edges of the hands, not the backs, not the fronts. Sometimes I'll have them put one hand upside down and then together. You can have the fingers of one hand touch the palm of the other hand. Again, always going for the side or the edges of the hands. This is something that's fairly popular today. Just have them rest their hands on the chest or by the neck or on the shoulder. But what I like to do is have them do something besides that, like maybe do something with the necklace. Now this I don't like. When you tell them to just touch their face, quite often they'll do it and it looks like they're poking their chin. So that's not good. You need to fix that. And one way to do it is to just tell them to straighten out the fingers a little bit more. But this is a better way. I just have them start sliding their fingers down the cheek, touching their face with just the middle of the index finger. That gives a softer look. Now in this one, I didn't really want a delicate look. I like the way she's really tugging on that outfit to close it up. And sometimes you get the pose all set up, you get back to the camera, you press the button, and then you spot the hand. Oh well, it's kind of like the Ed Sullivan plate spinners. It's hard to keep track of it all, but as soon as you spot it, fix it. So what about guys? Well, we certainly don't want his hands hanging like that. I mean, it looks like an udder. So I had him just curl that hand, make a little bit of a fist, and then loosen the first finger. Just watch out for this. And just have him curl the finger just a little bit. Sorry that this is so picky, but that's what you paid for. We've got a problem here. He's milking his finger. So I had him just interlock his fingers like that, and that looks much better, much more natural. Yeah, I'm not liking the way she's covering up her left hand. So we can go this way. Or here's another very natural thing to do. And this should be pretty obvious that we've got a problem here. Her hands are very white. They're as big as her face. So those are issues that we need to work with both in lighting and in posing and maybe later on in Photoshop. When we use a wide-angle lens, we can tend to come in very close, and that will present some perspective problems in that whatever's closest to the lens will appear larger, and that's what happened here. We have her hands that are a little larger than her face as well as her feet. So because the light was highlighting her hands and feet a little too much, I darkened them, and then I used some liquify on her hands and feet to make them smaller. And that's my fault for having the wrong lens and getting too close to the subject. I also did some artwork on the background. Now, in case you're thinking the wide-angle lens is at fault, it's not. It's the perspective, or the distance from the subject, that's the problem. So here I have a comparison between a wide-angle lens, and I kept the camera in the same place, and then I zoomed in to 43 millimeters, and you can see that the approximate look of the subject is the same, the sizes of the hands relative to the face, regardless of the focal length. They're smaller on the wider lens, but again, it's the same look. His hand is just hanging out there, grabbing too much attention. So I had him bring his other hand over it, and that looks a lot better.